Hey guys, it's Danny. Today I'm taking you on a repot journey. When was the last time we made a video on slipper orchids? A million years ago, right? Well, I still have them and they are due for a repot. I've been keeping them in the same potting mix for about 2 years at this point, and it's time to repot them. Plus, I want to show you the most adorable pots, decorative pots that I found locally, and I think they go so well with the slipper orchids. I have a few more of them. I have tinier ones for some Tolumnias as well. I know that I said I will buy muted colored decorative pots or white pots, but these ones, I can't resist, they're so whimsical. So today I will repot on camera my Paphiopedilum venustum, which is a beautiful Paphiopedilum, blooms a lot. Maybe you haven't seen him in a while because thrips, but he blooms a lot for a Paphiopedilum and grows pretty fast. So I definitely recommend him. He looks gorgeous even if not in bloom, but the blooms are absolutely fantastic. So we're gonna repot him, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the same for all of the other Paphiopedilums I have. Spoilers, is gonna be a sphagnum moss repot because I like sphagnum moss. And yeah, before we start, don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? I post multiple times a week and it's completely free. But if you're feeling a little extra and you can, do consider further supporting the channel by becoming a member, checking out the affiliate links down below, checking out the merch, or using the super thanks option below my videos. Righty then, I'm already gloved up. As you might have seen in my few videos this week, depending if I publish them, I'm gonna be handling my orchids with gloves for a little while because I just sprayed them with insecticide and I'm a little iffy. So let's see. All of my paths are potted in a mixture of, oh no, I have a few ants. Oh, yes, I do have some ants in the grow room. Not as many as I used to, but what to do? At least I don't have an entire nest here. So I repotted this guy in sphagnum moss and bark. This is how I started off with organic again after the leca semi-hydro situation that did not work out for me. So initially I didn't go full sphagnum moss. I took it slow, one step at a time with bark and sphagnum moss. But as it just so happens, the moss that I'm using is a much better quality than the bark. So after 2 years, the bark is done, but the moss is still good. So I'm gonna continue with sphagnum moss only, and bark will just be for the top layer. Right, so I'm gonna remove as much as possible the bark. The moss, I'm gonna let it be, particularly because the roots are a little bit fuzzy, and if I try to pull on the moss too much, I might damage them. So a few pieces of moss, I don't mind, but the bark I'm gonna try to remove because it's done. I cannot really leave it in here. And yes, this guy has a bit of a mealybug infestation. That's why the ants, but I sprayed him with insecticide, so he should be good. And mealybugs also do enjoy nesting right here at the base. Should we spray a little hydrogen peroxide? I think we should. Typically with orchids that I've had for a while, I don't use hydrogen peroxide anymore because there's no snails, and that's why I use hydrogen peroxide 3%. But maybe it could have a little bit of an effect on these mealybug nests, even though, you know, I sprayed insecticide. But just to be sure, I'm actually going to spray a little bit of hydrogen peroxide right there at the base of the fans. So 3% can be used straight from the bottle. We don't need to dilute it. And if you find it as such at the pharmacy, you can use it straight without dilution. And what I will be using is actually kind of the same size pot because this guy didn't put out too many roots. Paphiopedilums are not necessarily known for creating a lot of roots. And if I go any larger, I will not be able to use this beautiful decorative pot. So yeah, I think this will do fine. This is not a Paphiopedilum that creates a ton of roots. So as I was saying, I will be using only sphagnum moss. And with this orchid, I will be using another thing, which I'll add a few more sphagnum moss strands and then I will put. I'm gonna use my Substral insecticide. It's actually a stick that has both fertilizer and insecticide. I would much rather prefer having insecticidal sticks, not the fertilizer, but long story, I couldn't find only the insecticide. So I'm gonna use that. because typically these guys are good with slow release fertilizer. They're not so sensitive to it, and it's just another layer of protection against pests. And I actually have quite a bit of it, so why not? I'm just going to use it. So I'm gonna use not an entire stick. This is as much as I'm gonna use. Gonna put this stick right here in the center of the pot and then just continue with the sphagnum moss. By the way, I think I already published the video. I did a bit of an update on this insecticide and it's been working pretty great. The orchids that have it do not have pests. Amazing, I know. So yeah, I think it's working. And since this particular orchid can handle some fertilizer, why not? I'm going to use it. I'm also considering using it with the mini phals because they are magnets and they're heavier feeders anyway. But I'm not sure about a cattleya. Maybe I'm not gonna use it with the cattleyas. Maybe I will regret not using it. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, for now, just these guys. So I'm gonna add sphagnum moss around. With slipper orchids, you always have to be mindful of where the new roots are coming from. If new roots are in the air, they will not grow. They are terrestrials or semi-terrestrials, as I like to call them, meaning they don't necessarily grow in soil, but they grow in the layer of leaves and twigs at the bottom, let's say, of the forest. So their roots should constantly be covered with something to retain that moisture. If there's too much air, dry air around the roots, they will not grow. So I'm making sure that the moss is actually covering the very base of each of these fans, because that's where the new roots are coming from. And if they start to grow in the air, they will just not grow. And of course, I'm also going to be using a layer of bark at the top to avoid cyanobacteria forming, which happens a lot here in my environment. And there we have it. Do you guys notice something? It's not hard to unpot or repot my orchids that are in this mixture of bark and sphagnum moss. And this is because this bark is small grade. So the root doesn't actually have a lot of surface to attach to, it's just a little bit. So it comes right off the roots, even from Paphiopedilum roots, which are fuzzy. And also the sphagnum moss doesn't necessarily have a tendency to really attach to the roots. If you take your time a little bit, you can remove it without too much stress on the root. So my birds have laughed all day. I'm really confident that when I will have to repot an orchid from full sphagnum moss, it's not gonna be dramatic. Which, you know what, I might have to do with some orchids, some cattleyas. They started to grow in a different direction than I anticipated, so they're growing out of the pot. So I actually need to rearrange them a little in the pot, not necessarily change the moss because they've been in there for a year, but at least rearrange the configuration a little bit. Right, so here we are. I am going to water him a little bit, even though the moss was pretty damp. I just want to make sure that that stick gets wet and stays wet so that it releases its substance. And before we end, short and sweet, right? Before we end, let me just tell you a little bit more about these pots. Hold on, let me clean my surface and I'll come back. Oh my goodness, I'm just realizing, was I in frame with the repot? I hope I was, kinda. Oh no. I'll crop the image. I'll make sure that I bring you closer. Goodness. I forgot. Right, so the pots. I think they are made out of cement because I have some patches which are a little bit worn off that look pretty white and pretty crumbly. So if I drop this on the floor, it's going places. Into a million pieces, it's going places. That's one. Second, they actually do have a hole for drainage, which can be used, but they also have sort of a stopper, like a rubber stopper inside. And I thought it could hold. I don't want this to have a drainage because it's decorative. Sadly though, it doesn't hold all that much and water comes out the bottom. So I have two options. One, get my glue out and glue the bottom somehow, which, to be quite frank, I'm a little too lazy to do. Or two, use duct tape. Guess which one I'm gonna use? I'm gonna glue it. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna use duct tape. So what I'm gonna do is put it on the bottom like so. I've had good experience with duct tape. It's a little large. Oh, it's stuck. Oh, you guys, this will hold. I'm good. But it's a little too large. Danny DIY. Always a fail. You wanna be amused? Give me a craft to do. Quality comedy. I'm not good at crafting, as you could see. I almost failed putting duct tape on a very flat piece of material. I'm perfect otherwise. This is just my only drawback. I'm kidding. Right, so I have very good experience with duct tape when it comes to water, so I have faith that now my pot will not leak anymore, because it kind of leaked on my shelves and that wasn't fun. But there we have it. Such a beautiful pot, isn't it? And with Paphs, I think it goes so good, because Paphs, when I look at them, I see a whimsical forest, because they have these wonderful patterns on their leaves, especially these guys, the mottled leaf ones, and they just go with the pot so well. I think these pots look like a hobbit house, don't they? So yeah, I think they look amazing. I know some of you will ask me where I got them from. I live in Cyprus, so unless you live in Cyprus, try your local garden centers. Maybe you can find something, if not very similar, maybe something you will like. Garden centers typically have a lot of very cute decorative stuff. I'm not really into all of those decorative things until I saw these guys. So check out your local stores. You might find something there. I'm not even sure where it's made. Probably overseas. All right, so it's called a pixie pot. How cute. And it has French and German on it. Pots de lutin, and I don't know how to read German. Elfentopfchen. Now, I know a bit of French, but I don't know German. Smart garden. And yeah, they have a French address there. Maybe you can find them if you're in Europe. I'm sure you might find these in your local shops as well. So yeah, I'll put all of this information if you're interested down below. I think they are adorable. I know, bird, I know. They work well with the Paphs. Right, so let's end it here. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video and just hanging out a little bit today with me. Maybe you repotted something as well. And with that said, if you would like to see some other repottings, because I have to repot some stuff, let me know in the comments down below and we shall arrange. So that said, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye!